This is Forging the Man with Keaton Wilson. I think a good episode to kind of start off at the beginning is acceptance and reframing. Acceptance is one of those things where a lot of people think it's just like a one time event. Just like, oh, okay, it is what it is. No, I think accepting something takes a lot of time. And I think accepting that acceptance takes a lot of time is very important. And I think it sets yourself up for success. Some events in life can be challenging for us, and just to brush it off and be like, yeah, it's whatever, and suppress it is not healthy, and it's not going to set you up to be the best man that you can be. I take it from personal experience. I used to try to suppress my emotions to not seem weak, but then you kind of have it's like a cup. You suppress all that down, all that water, and you're not drinking your water. And so eventually that cup's going to start getting full, and it's just going to overflow. But if you drink your water as it's filling up, it never gets too full. When you suppress your emotions, instead of actually working through them and trying to accept your emotions and events that happen in your life, you become an emotional person. Maybe not at first. You might seem cool, calm, and collected at first, but you have a threshold. It's best to find healthy outlets and mentors and friends that can kind of help guide you on this acceptance. Whether that's yourself, accepting yourself, accepting family members, friends, romantic partners, where you're at in life, whatever you're trying to accept. But in order to start the path, you got to take ownership. I think it's easy when we're dealing with life to try to look at what the other person has done and how it's caused this effect on you. That's not accepting it. Yeah, I mean, you can see what life has done to you, or whatever led you to where you're at. Sure, there are things in our life that are out of our control, of course. But this is where the reframing kind of comes into it. You have to see reframing is not pretending things are okay and easy. Reframing is a tool that takes time to develop and practice every day that gives you a new perspective, a better perspective on the situation, no matter what's going on. The world's not going to change for you, but you can change how you see it. And honestly, reality is our perspective. Reality is our perspective. How we go through life, talking, presenting ourselves, communicating, and seeing. That's what reality is to us. I mean, someone can have the same. I mean, for instance, like your sibling. Say you got a sibling that's right around your age, and you two had the same upbringing, you ate the same foods, similar friend groups, pretty similar in the way you were brought. But you can sit down with that person and ask them about their experience, and it could be completely different than the experience that you had. And it's just on that perspective. There's a lot of things in life that mold and change our perspective. But just because something can change my perspective on something doesn't mean that I can't consciously change that. You have to own your perspective. You got to take full responsibility. You have to take full responsibility of your life and how you see things. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. You can, I mean, just an example, like a weak, a weak mindset and a weak way of seeing something is, why is this happening to me? This always happens to me. Just seeing the negative in something. Instead, you can accept, okay, I don't like what this is, and it's not what I prefer, but it's happening to me. How can I make the best out of this? Where's the growth? How can I change this event in front of me to become better? That is reframing. Um, Doing something, something I've been doing recently is going out of my way to do things I wouldn't normally do, that you wouldn't associate with my character. And that's challenging, especially if you don't have, the skills and the muscles for it, whatever it may be in your life. And it's hard. But you need like a sort of rite of passage in life, when especially when you're developing these new skills and these new mindsets. It's a rite of passage, and that's something that's died in the West. Western civilization has gotten too comfortable, and that's the drug of choice nowadays, is comfortability. That was my problem, and it's something I still struggle with. Being comfortable was my primary problem. I had major side effects that came from that. But being comfortable and not wanting to experience life in a difficult manner was the problem. You have to take full responsibility and reframe that. I want a good life. I want a fun life. I want a life to look back on and have no regrets. I don't care about how hard things are now or how uncomfortable they are. That was the person that I once was. That's not a masculine way of looking at things. See the hardship as a rite of passage. Tough times they're not punishments. Well, they can be, if you're not reframing it. Sure, anything that happens to you can suck, and it's going to suck. Life's not feel good happiness. I don't seek happiness anymore, because seeking happiness has led me down paths that don't give me happiness. You have to learn to reframe, and it's simple. But it can be challenging because we all go in a autopilot in our day-to-day life, just the same routine, but you have to shake that up, and that's tough. If you see something that seems challenging and that you don't want to do it, maybe force yourself to do it. I don't know what that could mean for you. I don't know what you struggle with. I mean, here's something. This might sound funny, but uh, sleeping on the ground. That's something that I've done a couple times before, and it's uncomfortable. Sleeping on the ground, just a thin blanket, maybe one pillow. It sucks and it's uncomfortable, but that also kind of it helps you reframe your bed. I'm like, wow, because the night after, I think it was, I slept on the ground. I don't know, for most of the night. But at the end of the night, I got up and got back in my bed, and I was just so thankful. And I reframed the situation. It was just, yeah, sleeping on the ground sucked, but it was awesome getting into my bed where it was warm and cozy. And, I thank God for that. And I was just like, God, thank you for this bed. Just being grateful. That's where you're going to get happiness, is going through the tough times and doing tough things. You got to see difficulty not as difficulty is a pleasure. It's not a pleasure, it's a privilege. It makes you stronger if you look at it like that. Just, this sucks, but I'm going to do it. And it's going to make me better. It's going to make me stronger. You should see tough times and difficulties in our life as a privilege. And this kind of goes back to episode 2 about emotions and logic. Switching from that emotional brain to logic brain. One thing for me was, and it's something I'm still dealing with. I'm man enough to say it. I'm an emotional person. That's something that I'm trying to reframe. Well, let me reframe that, because your words have powers. I'm not an emotional person. I have struggled being an emotional person in the past, but I'm working towards not allowing my emotions to control me. Change your words. Your words have power. Train yourself to reframe situations with rationale. Emotions, they can cloud our judgments and our thinking. One thing that helps with that is discipline. Forming small little habits in our day and doing those, whether we want to or not, is how we can kind of get over that hump of being emotional and becoming logical. I have a really good friend at work. He's a very cool person. I really look up to him a lot, and he's very successful and he's very masculine. Not He's very masculine in that he owns and sees his shortcomings, and I respect that, and that's what I want to become. And one thing I told him is, I respect that he challenges me, and that he critiques me. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not perfect at accepting that sometimes. And that's my problem. That's not his. And he doesn't have to critique or challenge me, but he does it because he loves me. He's my friend. And that's what a good friend is. You need to find people that will push you, and they're not going to be a yes man. And in order to find friends like that, you have to become like that. I was a yes man. I didn't want conflict. That goes back to me trying to get away from the hardships, but not rocking the boat. Sometimes you got to rock the boat, man. Sometimes you got to. And you have to not let your fear get in the way of that, because we build up things in our head. And at the end of the day, yeah, there might be a little conflict from it, but it always can turn into something better. But it's the people that you surround yourself with. People, you have to find people that see criticism as fuel, and it's not a personal attack. When you're weak, you take criticism personally. You think that they're judging your flaws, And that's for the most part, they're not. Especially if it's you know the character of somebody. I don't have to sit here and tell you what's a good character of somebody. You know what that is. So you know how they act, you know how they talk, how they think, and you can kind of make that judgment on your own. Is this person judging me? Or is this person critiquing me? And maybe see a flaw within me that they think I can be better at. A strong man sees the value from the criticism, and you don't always have to take the criticism. That's the wonderful thing about being a man and having your own mind. Um, my buddy, if he thinks I'm doing something, if he thinks I'm doing something that he thinks that I'm better than, he might tell me that. And I might not like it, but I'll listen to him because I respect him. And when you respect somebody, whether or not you take their advice or what they're saying and implement it into your life, it's just having the open mind and openness and developing strong bonds with people to have those hard conversations and at least giving it the respect of thinking about it. But you don't have to implement it if you think you don't need to or you just simply don't want to. You don't got to do anything. But just accept that there's a flaw that someone sees within or a perceived flaw within you and accepting that and working through that in your head and looking at past situations. And this might seem like this is a little over analysis, and sometimes it can be. You have to find that healthy balance within yourself. But if this is a major priority of becoming a better person, better man, you're gonna have to look silly. You're gonna have to look stupid. That's just part of it. You're gonna have to do as a man. We don't have inherent sexual value. Yeah, some people are taller and more natural, handsome, but that doesn't really matter. That gets you only so far. You have to do these challenging exercises within your mind and your body and always be improving. And so what if it seems stupid to somebody or they're like, it's too much? Who cares what they think? Just accept that they have what they think and just accept that you want something different. And then looking up to people, seeing where they're at in their life, not judging where they're at on their life, but seeing where they're at in their flaws and their strong suits and just I see how their life is and how they've led up to here and where it looks like they're perceived going. I don't want to be like that person. So I'm not going to accept advice from that person. I'll hear them out, but for the most part, I'm not going to accept or implement what you're saying because we have two different ways that we see life. And that's okay. You don't have to please everybody. One thing you have to remember is the only person coming to save you is the version of yourself that's tired of your current situation. Another thing, you can talk power over your life. Not like a weird. I don't. I mean, it's whatever you believe. I don't believe in the spiritual crystal manifesting and all that. It's just not something I hold. But your words do have power. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. That's so bull. Words have so much power. There's been times where I've been scared or insecure of something, and just the simple fact of if you really look at, and this is a psychology trick that I figured out over the years, is fear and excitement are the same thing. Like it feels the same. It's just the mindset we have on it. Reframe the mindset. Don't allow your fears to cut your life short of the pleasures and the excitement that you can get from it. But you have to. One quote I really like is like, how's it go? Uh, the willingness to be a fool is the precursor of transformation. Fear will cut your life short of pleasures and excitement. But you can tell yourself if you're scared and you're like, oh, man, I would like to do this, but I'm too scared. Tell yourself, I'm not scared. I'm just excited. I'm not scared. I'm just excited. Fear and excitement are the same psychological response. The only difference is the interpretation of it. Reframe the interpretation of what you're feeling. You can be scared to fail, and then sometimes we'll get in our way and just be like, I'm scared that I'm going to fail if I make this risk. And as men, we should be taking risk, good calculated risk. Who You're going to have failures, stack failures, because eventually you're going to learn from those failures. But I'm going down a different road. If you're scared of failing, you're going to tell yourself that and reframe that. Just be like, it's going to be challenging, but I'm excited to prove myself. I made the recent change. So I started in sales at my company. Then I went over to sales support. And then recently I made the switch back to sales. That was very scary. I had a very comfortable salary and somewhat easy. Well, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I'm very good at what I did. And it was scary to think because one of the stipulations is if I wanted to make the switch back to sales, if something happened where if I couldn't do it or I didn't want to do it, there's not a possibility to go back to sales support. And that was scary for me. And I was going through a lot during that time, so it just seemed like the world was against me. But you got to prioritize life. And this seemed like such the necessary risk to where I'm going to go back and do this. Though I'm scared, I'm going to tell myself like, I'm excited and I'm going to prove myself wrong that I can do this. And that's how you have to see things, and prioritize that. I think, let me take a second and think here for a second. You have to, this can kind of tie in with the hardships and the rite of passage. You got to seek your purpose over your pleasure. As a man, we're driven by the sense of adventure, the hero story. That's something that I speak with my therapist a lot is the hero story. And that's what I've been kind of after. What's my story? As men, we have a story. We have stories. That's what we do. It's what we enjoy is creating our story. What's your story? And all stories, for the most part, kind of start off either boring, mundane, or they suck. But to have a fulfilling life, you can't chase the short term pleasures. And I'm one to talk. That's what my life was for a while. And I still have my shortcomings. I'm still a man. um, I'm not perfect. I I still chase short term pleasures. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't because I do. And you're going to for the rest of your life, but it's just seeing that and redirecting your path. But that stuff doesn't fulfill you. A fulfilling life is found in your purpose, and that's what drives you. It could be your work, personal growth, your relationships with your family, friends, romantically. Purpose gives a meaning to the struggle. Religion, that's a big one. I think, and this kind of, I'm not going to go down on this path too much, but as a man, That's what makes us attractive is the is our drive, is our purpose. You know, when we're trying to become a masculine traditional man, and that's essentially what we're trying to do here. We're on our purpose, we're on our grind, and we have to always have that in our vision. We should have a life that we're building for us, not to please others, doing the things we want to do regardless if it makes us look stupid, accepting that we're going to look stupid, and then having your woman step within your frame and join you on your purpose. You know, your purpose is to buy the house. You're buying the house. Her purpose is to make that house a home. That's how you should be framing this. Find something that's really helped me on accepting things in life and turning life is finding like a brotherhood. Really see who your friends are and ask yourself, do I want to be like this friend group or this person? And if you do, and that I think that you should live the life that you want to live regardless of whether it's the best that you can do. I respect somebody that acknowledges where they're at in life and it's just like, I'm fine with this. I'm like, awesome. And you should do that. And I don't see you less as a man. You see what you have and you're fine with that. But then there's the guys that are like, I want something better. And this is where the acceptance comes in, and then where you start practicing that reframing is don't panic once you start becoming self aware of where you are in life. Just look around, just observe around you. Look at your habits, look at your friends, look at your job, look at whatever it is, and accept that. And that's like I said, it's a process of accepting that. And you might only be able to accept certain things, prioritize, and then start working. And once you get better at something, work on the next thing. Accepting these things as you go. You don't have to do it all in one day. That's what we try to do is we try to take shortcuts. And the shortcut is usually the longest road. Prioritize and find a brotherhood. I think that should be a top priority. You know, if you're wanting to be that traditional masculine man, find that around you and ones that are willing to lead you and teach you. But you have to have that open mind in this to take the criticism as fuel. Surround yourself with strong, principled men that have standards and values. Build friendships and communities around that of people that push you to grow. You should always have the mindset of I'm the weakest person in this friend group. That's how you should always kind of see that. Because if you're the strongest person in the friend group, yeah, it's cool that you can help others get up there, but you should always be trying to grow. You should be trying to push yourself more. And that's when you're slowly adding more friends to your friend group that do different things and that are better than you. You should never be the best man. You should always have the mindset of I'm the weaker of the man, but I'm not a weak man. You know what I'm trying to say here? Another big one. Be a man of your word. And I'm a hypocrite. You know, I'm not perfect at my word. I acknowledge that. But you got to try and limit how many times you mess up. And doing that comes from taking responsibility and acceptance. Okay. It seems like I'm not able to be honest on my word all the time. I can't come through on everything that I promise. And this is where you have to grow a spine. This is where you have to grow your nuts. And maybe I'm just agreeing to things I don't want to do. So just stop agreeing to things you don't want to do or that you know will be kind of tough to fit in. That's where you're going to get the respect and reliability is being a man of your word. Do things that you want to do at the end of the day. Yeah, there's some things that you have to do, but other than the things that you got to do, you don't have to do. Like, I mean, if you don't want to go out with your buddies, just tell them you don't want to go out. Don't be like, yeah, we'll go out. And then the day of, you're like, I don't feel like going. No, don't do that because it makes you look like a bitch. It does. People respect a man that stands in his values. So work on that. Accept that. Like, these are just a couple things that you can do in your life to learn to accept and reframe because like I said, accepting and acceptance is not just one thing that you do. It's like charisma. Have you ever met somebody that's very charismatic? If you really break down why they're so charismatic, it's not just one thing. It's being having charisma is such an umbrella of so many skills. And developing like big skills like that, you have to do the little things. If you're charismatic, maybe you're charming, um, witty, funny, emotionally mature. Uh, there's so many different things. Confident. These are so many skills that they've built up, and that makes them charismatic. So see these things that you need to do, like acceptance or reframing. Reframing can be that one skill, but acceptance is that umbrella. There's so many things that go into an acceptance. And I think the most important thing you can do for acceptance is prioritizing. Start with the big things. Or you can go the other route and start with the small things and snowball effect. It's completely up to you, man. That's the wonderful thing about being a man is you can learn these things and see how it best fits within your routine and your life and your goals. Got to take ownership of your life. Build the discipline. Acceptance comes from, for instance, here's a good example. When someone goes, when people go through a breakup, like they start going to the gym, they start doing these healthy habits, they start doing this and that, and that's that acceptance. Most of the time it can be kind of fueled by wanting revenge and to kind of showing people off, which is not a mindset you should have. Seeking revenge it's not a good burning fuel. It doesn't last long. So don't seek revenge. Don't seek to prove others. I think the healthy way is just accepting of where they were in their life and maybe why that relationship failed on their end. There's always two parts, but just accepting what you did wrong. And you start seeing people do these healthy habits. They change their life around. That's what you have to do. Just start taking to take acceptance is just taking that small step. What's what's the biggest thing that's hard to swallow for you? Face that fear. Face that fear. Acceptance is you can't accept something that you're scared of. I think for the lot of us, we're scared of it. We're scared of certain events or feelings or memories in our life, and we just have to accept that by facing it. That's the first step. Just face it. Acknowledge that it's a problem. You have to see that it's a problem to accept it. And you got to have the balls to face that. It's scary, but no one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to hold your hand. Like I said, the only person coming to save you is the version of yourself that's tired of your current situation. don't don't worry about what others are going to say or think, especially since we live in such an age that's so social media minded. Don't allow it to consume you to the point that you're afraid to take risk. Because at the end of the day, what makes us a man is our ability to be scared and face it, and to take risk and to live life at our terms. You know, I say I say to my aunt and my mom all the time, um, so my aunt, she likes these it's funny. She likes these Milky Way ice cream bars, and I guess they're kind of tough to find where we're at, so she has to go to a different county. And I'll go in there and I'll grab one, and she gets all upset, like, "Hey, don't eat that. Don't blah blah blah." And I say something. It's kind of douchey, but it's funny. It's like I live life by my rules. It's like I don't live. Yeah, it's something like I live life on my own rules, or something like that. And that's kind of how you have to see things. Of course, don't be a douche and eat your aunt's candy bars. Don't be a prick, but just live life at your own terms. It's your own rules. Be respectful. Be a gentleman. Kind of live by a code. But other than being a gentleman, trying to be as respectful as possible. Of course, there's a limit to that. Don't allow that to make you a nice guy. That's a whole different topic we can kind of go down. Find that balance with being a gentleman and being respectful and being the bigger person. But other than that, live life on your own terms. And to be able to have that freedom is to accept where you're at in life. And once you are conscious of your life around you, start reframing things in your life. Um, let's just use some of my life. Where did I really start? I think one of the main things that kind of kicked off my journey is my self talk, how I would talk to myself. That's where I started for the most part. And just becoming in tune with the state of the Keaton within my head. So I would be so rough on myself. I'd abuse myself. Like if anybody talked to me the way that if anybody talked to my mother the way that I talked to myself, I'd fight them. I'd hurt somebody because I was so mean to myself for no reason. I didn't see self worth or respect, and which is such a lie because I'm dope as hell. I'm a cool ass person, and I see that. I'm a little cocky. I'm gonna be honest. People call me cocky, and I can get a little cocky. I know who I am. I see my worth. I know what my value is and what my value will be. But that took time to get to this level. I would always just like say if I made a mistake, like I don't know, spilled water on the ground. I'd be like, "You're such an idiot. Why did you do that? You're so stupid, dude." I would catch myself doing that and just be like, so once that happens, I spill it. Like, "You're such an idiot. You're so stupid." I'd be like, "Well, you know what, Keaton? You're not. You're not an idiot. You just made a simple mistake. It won't take a second to clean this up." Reframing that. Seeing respect and value in yourself. If you don't see that within yourself, others won't. So maybe a lot of people, I think, need to start on their self talk. Start there. And because once I actually did that, a lot of these other side effects kind of work themselves out. Because a lot of it's our mental. Being a man is our mental. Ironing out that and stop being such a pussy. Life's gonna suck. Life's gonna be hard. But that's okay because it's gonna be fun. And you should see fun in the challenge. But you gotta start somewhere. And that starts with accepting where you are in life. And where you are, you don't have to be satisfied with that. but just accepting that. One thing that I've been really struggling with accepting, and it's something that I'm working towards, is seeing the person that I used to be. Seeing that person. Like, I've lost a lot of weight and I'm losing a lot of weight, but I've made so many different changes within my life. Like, I've lost over, I don't know, like 120 pounds, which is crazy to think about. And I'm losing more and more, and I'm packing on muscle. And I'm looking great. I'm feeling great. I'm talking great. But when I see photos of that old person, it kind of makes me insecure. It does. Just being completely honest about it. But one thing I'm trying to work on is seeing that's part of my story. That's what makes me so dope, is that I went from this person, and I can for them, it's hard to kind of know what I really was in that mindset cuz I'm on such a different level now. Like, I think different. I process things differently. Um but it's just seeing that person and just seeing they needed help. Or a way that I've been reframing that for the most part is I'm thankful for this person. I'm thankful for this person that was morbidly obese, that was very feminine, that was very depressed, just a sad person because he got so sick and tired of where he was. And it kind of comes back to that quote I've said a couple of times. The only person coming to save you is the version of yourself that's tired of your current situation. He was tired of his current situation. And I'm so freaking thankful for that Keaton. Because that Keaton was a rock star. That Keaton is a badass. Because he loved me. He never met me, but he loved me so much that he didn't want me to experience life that he was experiencing. That's powerful, man. Take a second and think about what I just said right there. That's powerful. Accepting who Keaton was back then. Yeah, he had his flaws, and honestly, there's a lot that I don't respect about that Keaton. But I'm thankful, and I see the struggle, and I've seen the hard work that Keaton put into this that got me to where I am right now. And then I'm gonna look back on who I am right now in 6, 7, 8, 9 months and be like, wow, that Keaton was sick. He did this and that. I'm thankful for that Keaton. That's how you have to see these things. But it's tough. It takes time to accept these things, especially if they're rapid changes. But I'm getting better at it, and I'm growing as a man every day. I can't allow who I was yesterday to cloud who I am today. I know what I need to do. I just got to keep doing it. I know this was kind of a little bit everywhere. I try to keep it on track as much as possible. There's just so much to talk about. It's really hard to really express all my experiences and emotions and thoughts in one podcast. But I think this is kind of a good stopping point just to kind of rewrap a lot of what we talked about. Acceptance is just kind of seeing where you are, being conscious of where you are, your habits. And you don't got to be satisfied, or you can be. It's up to you, however you want to live your life. And then prioritizing habits and things that you need to be doing. I recommend with the self talk, and then just go from there. You'll know where to go from there. It's so natural. It flows so good, especially if you get your mind right. If you start with your mind, I think your mind and your soul is really important to start off with. Get in touch with your religion. I would love to talk about religion a little bit more, but that deserves its own podcast. Accepting where you are, prioritizing, changing your friend groups, changing your outcomes by reframing. Develop reframing, and that takes a while. If you're going through something, be conscious of it and just say, hey, this isn't what I wanted, but there's a lesson here. There's growth here. I just have to see that. It might take you a little bit of time to see that growth. I have things that have happened in my life that's took me a couple weeks, couple months to kind of look back on and be like, that's exactly what I needed. This is what I need. This is a prayer that's been answered. When you see that, a lot of people are like, be careful what you pray for. I think just pray for it. You don't be afraid of the hardships and the things that don't go your way. Pray for it. And I got a lot of answered prayers the past couple months. I'm so thankful that the Lord has loved me enough to push me and challenge me with these things. I'm so thankful. And yeah, he's just awesome for that. Reframe that. That's how you become happy in life. Not by chasing happiness. It's by reframing your life. Develop that. Seek the hard stuff out. Don't shy away from uncomfortable emotions and hardships in life. Seek those out. Sleep on the ground, man. Only eat, I don't know, ground beef for 2 weeks. Only drink water for a week. You know what's hard for you and what's not. Just don't be a puss and just do it. It's just simple as that. Being a man is just doing the hard stuff. You want to be so in your masculine. You want to be so logical that you can respect yourself and be self-sufficient. Being self-sufficient doesn't mean that you can't take help from others or have a community around you. I'm not saying that, because it's very important in your community. But being self-sufficient to where you don't need people. Don't be needy, man. I was very needy, but once I realized I don't need people. I want to be around people. I want this and that. I don't need you. I would like to be around you. I would like to have you in my life. But anyways, I'm kind of getting a little bit everywhere now. I think you kind of get the point. Just keep trying and don't give up on yourself. That's the biggest thing. I never gave up on myself. Whatever it was, maybe I tried 5,000 diets in 2 months and I'd fail them 3 hours in, 2 hours in. I didn't quit. Being a man is not quitting. Just don't quit. Keep trying. Eventually it's going to click. It eventually clicked for me. It's going to click for you. If I can do it, anybody can do it, honestly. I'm just some Joe Schmo. But I'm a sick, cool Joe Schmo. Yeah, that's the mindset right there. But anyways, have a great week. Kill the week. Be 1% better. Set the standard for yourself. Accept where you are and kick Monday's tail.